But even then, part of the issue for me is that why wasn't his retirement like a stipulation? Why wasn't it, if you don't win the world title, you must retire from the WWE, you must retire from professional wrestling? Why was it almost, we're going into this as this is Goldberg's last match, but he might win the world championship, and oh my god, if he wins the world championship, what happens from there? Like, that's rubbish. Last week we saw Bill Goldberg make his retirement from professional wrestling. He had a match, a Saturday night main event, going up against Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion. The World Heavyweight Championship was on the line, but ultimately this was Goldberg's last match. And Goldberg, throughout the whole build, never had any real interest in the World Heavyweight Championship. It was more avenging some of the harsh things that Gunther said about him and his career and his family. So from the jump, this whole thing was like just a bit misplaced. Some have also said that Gunther winning the world title was strictly down to having a world championship match for Goldberg's last match. And that is just a complete nonsense in itself. Like, it's a very bad reason to put a title on somebody if that is the case. But I guess we'll never know. Now, what I'm here talking to you guys today about is how WWE consistently disrespect their Hall of Famers, disrespect their legends. Now, you put them in the Hall of Fame, not me. You come out and call them legends, right? Not me. So all of a sudden, why do we not find a way to treat them correctly when it's time to, remember their careers, give them the dues and everything that they've done for the entertainment of the business, Like, they always seem to get it wrong. Whether that is in the actual retirement phase or post-retirement, whatever it may be. Like, let's just look at Goldberg, right? And Goldberg's come out recently on the Ariel Helwani show, and Goldberg has talked about, they've been in talks since November about this retirement and how they're going to do it. Now, obviously, Goldberg turned up at Bad Blood in October. He kind of started setting up this angle with Gunther back then. And he said, like I said, November, they have been talking about this retirement. But look how it kind of just petered out. They kind of just threw things together the last few weeks. I feel like both men's performance in their segments leading to their eventual match was very good. I thought Gunther was very good when he was just on his own cutting promos. I thought Goldberg, as always, brings the intensity, brings a level of believability to it all. But this is something that maybe should have went for a longer time, especially in Goldberg's opinion. Right? What were they talking about since November? That we're just going to have a kind of 2-3 week build and then we're going to have the match and done? Goldberg said that he would have liked the match to be on pay-per-view, PLE, rather than TV, NBC. He never got that. He would have preferred like a longer kind of story told towards his retirement, which of course would have added more zeros to his contract, so I can understand why he may want a bit more sort of thing. Listen, I don't think Goldberg necessarily had to wrestle more matches. I think you could have had a longer build. I think you could have used him in a couple more spots, maybe with a couple more people before we get to the eventual retirement match. But then you get to the story that they were telling. Like I said, the story wasn't bad going in at all. I think both men done a good job to sell us on the match. We all knew what it was. But even then, part of the issue for me is that why wasn't his retirement like a stipulation? Why wasn't it, if you don't win the world title, you must retire from the WWE, you must retire from professional wrestling? Why was it almost, we're going into this as this is Goldberg's last match, but he might win the world championship, and oh my god, if he wins the world championship, what happens from there? Like, that's rubbish. That is absolutely rubbish. Put his career on the line. We all know he's at the end of his road anyway. Like, you could have just put his career on the line and just made this a lot more interesting, But they just kind of told it backwards that if he's going to retire, this is his last match. But if he wins, that could be very interesting. Like, it just didn't really make sense. And then, of course, we got the actual match. I'm not even going to talk about it. Fine match. It was absolutely fine. And then we had the angle at the end where obviously he was going to cut a promo, give his speech, saying goodbye to everyone, the fans. And NBC cut it. They cut it 30 seconds into the speech. Now, the cynical fans would be saying, yeah, that was enough. 30 seconds is enough. We don't need to hear Goldberg. But ultimately, Like, come on. This is someone that, captivated the minds, an absolutely big draw for the business, and like he captivated attention. This is someone that you tune in to watch. Who's next? Who's gonna get jackhammered and speared next, or speared and jackhammered? Like he done his thing. Yes, he wasn't the most technical of wrestlers, and people have an issue with him not ever kind of developing as a wrestler. Wrestling comes in different flavors. And especially when he broke through, his flavor was in demand. So I think it's a thing where WWE definitely should have done better with his story going into the final match, and especially from a production standpoint, that might be more so NBC than WWE, but he should have got his send off on TV, his speech on TV. WWE have since released it out on YouTube. If you want to go and see it in full, it's all there on YouTube. But yeah, it's just not cool, and this persists with other stars like legends of the women's division. In terms of the Bellas, we all know the Bellas fell out with WWE for a period. They were invited to, like, I think one of those Raw anniversary shows, flown in or whatever, or they flew themselves in, only not to be used on the show. And Nikki Bella then went live on Instagram, I believe it was, during the show to kind of denounce WWE and how they treated the Bellas and stuff like that. Not cool. They fell out. I think WWE retained the name Bellas so that they couldn't use it, hence why they started answering Nikki Garcia, Brie Garcia after a time. It looks like now they've started kind of mending the fences. We see Nikki on TV as of recent. It's just like, come on, these are your legends. These are your Hall of Famers. Mickie James. We all remember the Mickie James being released situation and them sending Mickie James her stuff in a garbage bag, a black bin bag. Like, come on, what's the meaning of that? And then, when Mickie James outed them for it, they're all like, oh my God, like, who done that? Like, that's terrible. Like, you call these people a Hall of Famer, not us. You inducted them, not us. You chose that. So why do you then choose to treat them like they are a piece of crap afterwards? It's really baffling. It's really, really baffling. I'm sure there are many other examples that slip my mind at this time of WWE mistreating their Hall of Famers. They put Kurt Angle in the Hall of Fame. Kurt Angle's retirement match was against Baron Corbin, which still boggles my mind. And if you're going to do that and Baron Corbin is going to win, Baron Corbin better become a world champion in that company, because, look at the scalp in beating Kurt Angle. Baron Corbin doesn't even work for WWE anymore. Like, it never went uphill on the main roster for him from there. It's baffling. And, this is why I might still do this. I might still do a whole podcast on why, AEW, where the best retire. Because ultimately, we're seeing the elder statesmen and women go over to AEW, and their latter days of their career is treated really well. I don't think they are given too much in putting world title matches or anything per se. And they are just given a really kind of good send-off, respectful send-off. They're honoring, AEW are honoring the men and women of yesteryear. And ultimately, from then on, probably giving them, jobs for life, contracts for life, some other kind of Legends deal that they may be doing over there. I really think that AEW is the place now. If you're an elder statesman, that is where you have to go. And we're going to see, John Cena right now. And it shows, in fact, it shows the inconsistency of it all. Because John Cena is on a world tour, retirement tour. And yes, I know who John Cena is to WWE, and maybe that's why. But, like, ultimately, it's not fair. They wouldn't do, like Goldberg said, they wouldn't do John Cena like they did him. They wouldn't do Undertaker like they did him on Saturday night main event. So, like, why does he suffer from that, It's going to be interesting. Like, people are seeing this with their eyes open, how they get treated, right? The likes of AJ Styles, who's probably set to retire within the next 2 years. He was not a WWE guy per se, so he may not have any issue with getting up and going to TNA to retire, going to AEW to retire. It's possible. The likes of a Kevin Owens, who I would say at this point is very much a WWE guy, he might be looking and thinking, well, if these are my last days, especially following the injury and surgery he's set to have, maybe I go elsewhere so my last days are treated with real reverence, you know, and I feel good about my retirement and the way I retired. Gonna be interesting to see, but yeah, let me know down below in the comments what you think of the whole Goldberg, his speech being cut situation, and just in general how WWE are treating their legends, because like I say, it's WWE in their Hall of Fame. It basically means nothing, and AEW is turning into the place to retire from professional wrestling.